Hey, hey, hey.
Oh, there we go. I have my mic muted. What's up? How's everybody doing? Y'all hanging in there? It's hot down here in Bama. It is a balmy 83 degrees in here, even with the air running. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to. My next constructed shop's gonna be insulated like an igloo cooler. I'm telling you,
Well,
no more drafty walls.
yeah, I spent the day outside, so I didn't get things set up out in the shop, and I just figured, you know what? It's warmed up back up here too. I mean, we had an overnight low in the 40s. What was it, a week ago? So
Sheesh.
it was feeling like October weather, which was nice. Um, but yeah, it's back up. We're going to be in the mid to high 80s this week, and
Mm.
so it's summer is back. So I'm just chilling in my air conditioned office.
Whew, must be nice. 40s. Man, we won't see the 40s now for months.
Yeah, well,
Like, it'll be a while. It'll be quite a while. Everybody keeps saying, "Okay, I'm fixing to crank my volume up," but when some of y'all say I'm blowing your speakers out, I haven't moved anything. All right, let's see. Everything, yeah, that's where it's supposed to be. That's where it's supposed to be. I think yours changes. It just makes me sound like I've
I
changed mine.
I don't know. Uh, I mean,
Let's
I'm getting like two
see.
bars in the no there. It's peaking up. I can bump mine down though.
All right, I can
So
go up. It's just I've never had to run it this high for
yeah,
anything. It's gonna mess it. It's gonna mess me up when I start doing my recorded videos because it's gonna be way too loud. Make sure I don't have any filters. I haven't turned any filters on lately. No, none there. Uh, yeah, no, I'm not seeing anything. So that should be. I mean, that should be plenty. I can always turn it up more, but at some point, it is going to be obnoxiously loud.
I mean, there's a joke in there somewhere, but
Well, I don't know. Like I said, it's redlining on me now.
yeah.
So check in here, make sure there's no settings in this software here. No stereo audio output. I don't know. Auto gain control. When did they add that? Maybe that's what's getting me. Yep, I bet that's what was getting me. They added auto gain control to Restream, and it was on by default. So I bet that's what was doing it.
Well, it's not like we're professionals and everything.
Yeah. Well, the software, like I said, it just as fast as I get everything set up and get because I literally do not change anything. Like all my stuff stays set up,
Hmm.
and then they'll update something and it'll change something or move a setting or something like that. But yeah, so far I think we're good. I think that's got it all. Y'all just have to bear with me. Okay, but I guess that's what it was because I had never saw that setting in there before under the audio settings because you have to go to advanced. So, yeah, I don't see anything else they snuck in here on me.
I mean, mine's turned on to auto gain as well. So, but I don't know. But sounds like maybe you're a little better. I mean, bumped mine down and yours is up, so hopefully that's working a little better.
Maybe it will. Maybe it will. All right. Well, let's see if we can find out who all's in here today.
Yes, welcome
Uh,
everyone.
yes. Well, we're trying to get everything up to snuff. What's up, Ralph, Norbert, Miss Sharon, Vince? How are you? Rob, Ralph again, Doug, Peter, Aldrich Custom Designs, Tom, Mark Patterson. Hello, how are you? Mr. Norbert, Five Kings. A lot of usuals. Up, David Allen, that guy with a really cool name. Uh, Norbert. Oh, that's right. Mark got his extra wide in. I forgot about that. I see a little back and forth about that. Howdy from Deetsville. What's up? How are you, neighbor? Because that is very close to where I am, uh, in Deetsville, Alabama. Da, da, da. All right. Hello from Nebraska there, Scott. What's up, Greg? Yeah, Greg, I don't know. I think it's, like I said, I think it's a Gremlins, but my audio pretty much stays set all the time, but we'll rock with that. I can always fix it in my recorded videos if I need to. Yep, more conversation about the audio. See, is it that mine is too low, or is it that yours is too high? I guess that would depend.
I mean, I haven't changed
I,
mine either. As a matter of fact, out in the shop, I've been over the past few weeks bumping my levels way down, but every time we pop on, it seems that I'm loud
yeah,
and you're not. So
yeah, I don't know. You got me. You got me. But we'll see. All right, so I guess we got that fixed. Let's see what we got going on. Bunch of conversations. Looks like I'm fairly well caught up there. Aloha from Hawaii, Clayton says. That's pretty nice weather over there. I wonder if it's cooler up there. I bet it's cooler over there right now.
depends on what part.
I bet it's a little cooler. And Gerard from Newfoundland, Canada. Okay. But anyway, yeah, a lot of the usual folks here tonight. Things are getting somewhat back to normal here at the shack. I have been grinding, trying to get caught up on stuff. And of course, people are still trying to send me stuff to make me even busier. But so far, I've gotten lucky, and they all have these little contracts that they want you to sign. And so I'm just like, I'm already swamped. I don't feel like fooling with you. So I have been turning down some more kind of stuff this week. I'm talking about, and people were giving me a lot of slack about, oh, every time I turn around, you're testing a new machine. Yeah, they don't realize how many I actually turned down. And the ones that I have been taking here lately have been ones that everybody has asked me, hey, what do you think about this one? Or, hey, what do you think about that one? So, and I've got a couple of other ones that I think would be interesting, and I really wouldn't mind trying out, but the company's got to get their heart right, because making me sign something is not, it's got to be very, very vague before I sign anything. So,
Well,
but yeah,
vague and or fairly specific on some things.
yeah,
I mean, I understand things like NDAs on new products. They want to try to make sure that you're not going to be leaking things. But when there's clauses like they're going to have the ability to review it, and then also that they don't want to
yeah.
have disparaging comments and such, it's like, well, I'm I'm not I'm not signing up to be your marketing person and such. So
Yeah, just like that one I sent you the other day where they said that I agreed to not say anything negative about the product in the video, and I'm like, what? Seriously? I mean,
right.
but
Yeah, I
but
actually
no,
got an
there's a couple
email.
of them. There's a couple of them right now that, like you said, the NDAs. I understand that completely, but some of that stuff is a little crazy. So, what would you say? You
Yeah,
got an email about what now?
well, I got an email from an individual today who has been watching some of my videos and actually pointed out how he appreciated that. Uh, I'm a little more objective on things, and try to make sure that I include some pros and cons and such. And so that's where I don't want to get in that gray. I want it to be very specific and say, that's how I do it. I'm going to let you
Yeah,
know that, hey, this is where it did well. This is where it maybe held up to their advertised specs. But I'm also going to say when it doesn't, or when I don't think it's realistic, or, there's always ways that you can improve products and such,
yeah,
or miss the marks. And in some cases, I'm like, hey, this, you and I say it all the time. There's no one laser that's perfect for everyone. And so it's kind of like, if you are looking for XYZ, this laser does well, but maybe not that. And that's where those contracts get a little shaky, in the fact of, they could take that as being negative, where I'm just trying to make sure the person has a really good understanding of what I've done in the shop with mine is how this laser works, and
Yeah.
that construed as good, bad, or otherwise. So
Yeah. But yeah, I had like I said, it's just you know how it is. Occasionally, you'll have that one person that'll be like, "Hey, I wish you didn't do this, or I wish you didn't do that." But for the one person that's like, "I wish you wouldn't be testing these machines," there's 50 that's like, "I'm glad you did because I was thinking about buying it, and I'm glad I knew this or knew about that or
yeah,
whatever." So it's a balancing act. But here lately, I have gotten a little burnt on that. I'm just you know how it is. You just get tired of having to have those deadlines or try to get
right.
stuff done.
Well, and yeah,
So and I've been working on some projects that I wanted to do, and I finally got to that place that has the material that we talked about. We got me a truckload of lumber, and I have good news to report. I will no longer be using the Luan from Russell because this stuff's pretty awesome.
um,
A little harder to cut than what I'm used to, but it's pre finished. And literally, when you get through engraving it, I just spray a little bit of rubbing alcohol on it and wipe it with a rag, and it's good to go. Like these little guys, I did nothing to those but engrave and wipe them down with a rag, and look at that shiny little luster. So, got that one, yeah. So, been playing with a bunch of this stuff, trying to see how it works. So there, you can see it right there for just a split second where it's like pre-finished. It's only on one side. They do have two-sided finished, but the price goes up another $2 or $3 a sheet. But I'm getting 4x8 sheets of this for $23, and it's 4.7 millimeter birch, and it is not MDF core. It's a veneer core, so it's pretty awesome so far. I'm really liking it. And it's about the same size as my other material that I was using, so my files that I've built take minimal adjustment to get them to work with it. So yeah, been practicing putting some stuff together. But the cool thing I like about it is, like I said, once you get through engraving it, you just spray it with alcohol and wipe it down, and it fixed it. Rugby Architectural. That's the name of the place right there. Yeah. Yeah, you can look right here. Where's it at? I stocked up for the next few weeks. Where's it at? Oh, that's not the... There it is. Yeah. $444 worth. I wound up getting 10 sheets of the unfinished and then 10 sheets of the finished. But it is C2, white birch. He said it's not necessarily Baltic birch, but it's birch from over yonder somewhere. But it says it's 5.2 millimeters on here, but it's actually 4.7. And I had to break them down. And I broke them down into pieces big enough for my machine over here. But I got these are my little cutoff size ones here. So for $22 for this sheet of plywood for a 4x8, I don't see why I'm going to have any problem recouping my money for the materials. Uh-oh, Gary. Gary's asking if you're mad tonight, Steve.
do you know what that's finished with?
No, but it is, what do they call it? Title VI compliant. Which is the EPA standards for all the harsh chemicals. But yeah, just got it right here. It says it's type whatever compliant. It's actually made for CNCs, I'm guessing, because it says cabinet UV-one side TSCA title 11 compliant import. C2 white birch, rotary cut, whole piece face VC. I don't know what all that means, but the guy told me that they use it for making cabinets and stuff, like commercial stuff.
I just would be a little concerned what it is before vaporizing it is all. It's nice to know what it is. So,
well, it doesn't have a sticker on the back of it with the ingredients, but like I said, I did look it up, and with it being this the EPA standards, whatever that VI compliant,
mm-hmm.
it basically, from what I can read from that, just says that it doesn't have any of the toxic chemicals, or it has enough of a level that it can be approved for import into U.S. or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I'm ventilating anyway, and it's working. It's working good.
That and that's okay there. I mean, I hate that as an excuse for when people are, you know, like I'm going to cut some vinyl, but I'm ventilating it out anyway. I'm like, well, you know, you're still doing corrosion to your machine, and also what's outside. You know, in my case, my neighbor's house is not that far away. I wouldn't want to be venting it out just like that, but.
I know more about this material than I do the stuff I get at Lowe's, because I was actually able to look this up on the internet and look at it on the internet. So,
well, it's probably Lowe's, better than burning
with
through,
Lowe's and Home Depot. You never know what you're getting. But I was a little concerned that it was going to be MDF core when I first heard the price, but it's not. It's layered. Like I said, it works pretty well. It's a lot harder though. Yeah, I can't run the speeds I could with that Luan. I had to slow it way down. No, Brian, I got it at Rugby is the name of the place. They have a location in Georgia, one in Tennessee, and then a bunch of other ones. But it's Rugby Architectural Building Products. They have I didn't even know they had this. A fellow maker here in town told me about the place. They actually sell like exotic walnut, mahogany, exotic woods and stuff like that. Rough sawn or finished sawn for you. And then they do a lot of MDF and different kind of plies. They have this stuff in maple and oak and some other types of wood as well, but I haven't tried it yet. I just needed to get enough to keep me going for a little while, and I was out of my other stuff, so I have stocked up with this, and so far so good. But you wouldn't, a 20 watt would have a hard time cutting it. Doo-doo.
Gerard's got a question, and it's not really off topic though. Do you ever use a CNC to joint wood, maple or birch? You could, but on the hobbyist machines we're using, unless you're talking about a fairly thin sheet of wood, it's probably faster ways to do it. You know, you can make yourself like a door board jig and use just a standard circular saw, which is going to get you a pretty close joint, or some sort of sled. Would probably be a faster way to do it. But yes, definitely you can anchor it down to CNC as long as it's you know, trammed and also square. It's going to create a nice vertical and parallel joint, especially if you do both sides. So definitely something you could do, but might not be the most time efficient one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Norbert's got a good point too. Is you can get the MSDS on every product they sell. You just often have to dig or maybe ask for it. As a matter of fact, back when I was first making my enclosure for my X-Tool D1, you know, the local Menards has multicolored acrylic, and so we asked them if they had any product specs on, you know, what is its optical density and what type of wavelength does it maybe block. And they actually tried to find that out for us, but they couldn't find any specific testing information, so that we couldn't find out if it had any appropriate properties for blocking the laser light, which is why I went to JTech Photonics. But yeah, if you ask them, they should be able to provide you some good information on the products.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this stuff, the price of it is a lot cheaper than what I've been getting it at Home Depot and places like that. I'm getting a 4x8 sheet for half of what I was getting a 2x4 sheet at Home Depot and Lowe's. And it's so far it seems like it's better stuff.
Yeah,
But
anytime you if you can find a good hardwood dealer or cabinet supplier, chances are they can, if not give you a cheaper price, they can give you a better quality product than what you're going to find at the big box stores. So um, it's definitely worth looking around, seeing who's in your neighborhood, you know, as far as hardwood dealers or cabinetry suppliers, things like that. And they're uh, they're used to working with both small and big shops. So
yeah, they like I said, this guy here, I didn't even know they were existed. And one of the guys that I deal with, he came by here the other day and was talking to me about it. And so I went by and just kind of looked, see what they had, and then the next thing I know, I got off a little early Friday and went and picked up some of the material, and so far so good. It's working. It's working really good for what I wanted. Let me see what I got. See what they got here. Oh, I was gonna try to find it on their website.
and even if you don't have one immediately close to you, it's worth looking around because I actually found a supplier that was down a couple hours away from me. They're actually down in Iowa, but they do delivery runs and they're up in this area anyway. It's called Liberty Hardwoods. And so I think it cost me $15 was the upcharge to have it delivered as long as this is on their weekly run. So, it's hard to beat that. That was to basically to my doorstep. As long as I was set up with them as a commercial account, and I didn't even have to order that much. It just made more sense to order, multiple sheets when you're paying a delivery charge. So it's worth doing a little looking around, especially if you get into a lot of, getting into a lot of material. Like you got some orders coming in and such. So
Yeah, I can't find this one on their on their website per se, but yeah, they have a lot of MDF stuff like that. He did say that they had some uh, like metric MDF that they didn't sell a lot of, that they had extra, that he would give me a pretty good deal on. But I just don't really have anything right now that I need it for. But this is a website. I said all I know is they had really good prices. So I did have to set me up an account for my business and everything so they could track what it is that I'm getting in case I need to place an order, because they work the same hours that I do. So only way I'm gonna be able to come by there is either for me to just order it and have somebody like Klein or Bill or somebody go by and pick it up, or take off work early or something like that. So they set me up an account so that I can order and tell them, hey, I want this that I got last time, or that, or whatever. So works, but yeah, it works pretty good. Do, do, do.
um, CK's got an interesting question. Speaking of enclosures, I bought the conveyor for the X-Tool S1. Do you have suggestions on an enclosure for that, since it opens the riser base and allows smoke out? Um, Short of a very large one, um,
Yeah.
your your better bet on that would be trying to get more airflow, I guess. I have mine hooked up to a 6-inch ducted fan. The uh, I unfortunately on the S1 you can't remove the stock fan like you can on the P2. Um, so it's not as efficient as it could be, but being able to pull more air. But yeah, that's the problem. I mean, even on my CO2 laser, where you could set it up with pass through, once you open up another airway, if you don't have enough air creating positive pull, It's going to let more of that smoke out. So
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to crank up the suction to prevent that. And like I said, if you're in a heated and cooled environment, keep in mind too, you're going to be blowing your air conditioning outside. So that's a dilemma because that conveyor does take up a lot of room. I think once you put it together, that thing's almost like 6 foot long, isn't it?
I mean, it depends, I guess. The the one with the P2, yeah, I mean, you could even go longer than that. Depends on how many rails you put on it. But,
Yeah. Steve, they actually have one in Clanton, which is inside the county. It's on the other end of the county from where I live, but they actually have I guess, an outlet here in an old cabinet shop that I guess they bought or rent or whatever. So that's where I wound up going to. CK says 9 feet. If he's talking about how the conveyor, that's big.
so I don't think Restream's pulling in chat messages from my channel right now. Because I'm not seeing them pop up here. But the Duke of Tank asked a discussion topic for you two. What is the best one and two punch for diode laser and CO2 laser to start a small business? Um, a little bit is going to depend on what you're wanting to do, but there's what I see a lot of people doing is they'll get um, if you're in the X tool uh, ecosystem, they're getting the P2 and then they're pairing it with like an F1. So they've got the diode for the small engravings, they've got the IR for the metal stuff, and then that can be portable. But then they do a lot of their work with the P2 for they can do acrylic and such. But you wouldn't have to do that with just Xtool. You could pick up any CO2 benchtop laser. There are a number of them out there that are in that price range or maybe a little bit less. And both Clack and I have looked at the Laser Pecker LP5 now,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mine's
that's gives you a little extra power
there.
than the F1, but more portable than the F1 Ultra. So those are some things to look at. Is if you're looking at doing a business and you're looking at doing like craft fairs or farmers markets or anything where you're going to be out trying to sell product to people, being able to engrave on site and customize on site is a huge benefit. So
Mm-hmm.
if that's going to be part of your business model, I would definitely look at some of those dual laser source galvo style engravers, but just make sure it's got a decent enclosure when it's running. The F1 original, that one is awesome. It's got the sliding acrylic thing that comes down. Very little light leakage through that. The Laser Pecker 5 is decent at it. There's still a little bit of a gap in certain materials, but they also are coming out with an enclosure you can add it onto. Haven't seen that myself yet, but any ways that you can get that portability in it would be a huge thing to look at. Outside of that, it would be if you need to cut a lot of acrylic, then you're definitely going to want to look at the CO2s. But there's a lot of higher power diode lasers that are going to be probably a little bit less than the CO2s, but going to give you a lot of that same cutting speed and capability. And depending on the material, you can get a darker shade from a diode, I think, than from a CO2. So a few things to think about there, but hopefully that at least answers a little bit of the question.
Yeah, Robert was asking about saving notes in Lightburn, and yeah, Norbert actually answered it for him there. So that's how you open up the little note box, and you can also click a little box to make it open up anytime you open that file. So if there's something that you need to remember about that particular file or whatever, you can add that there. So Toot, toot, toot. Have you tried cutting HDPE with a diode laser? Curious if it'll cut with a diode versus a CO2. I have not.
Uh, no. uh, HDPE cuts pretty well with a CNC router. It's
Yeah.
a little bit. I don't know. It's a little bit. It can be a little bit gummy, but um, no, I don't think I've tried it with a diode. I mean, maybe if it was the black material, but definitely not the white. Um, the black might, but I have a feeling it's going to be a little more melty than it is a clean cut.
Yeah. Sharon's asking about the iCube. Miss Sharon, I actually made a little jig kit for that thing that it's similar to the same thing of the F1 and the Ultra and all of them that I use, but it just drops down in that little the hole that's in the bottom of the iCube. So you can go check that out, or make you a little box. Basically, make you a square that drops down in that hole, and then put your item shape inside there, and you're good to go. Leather, yeah. Lots and lots of air.
Yeah, lots of airflow.
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, there are some of those um, air purifier type things that you see. I've tried a few of them, and they take the edge off, but they get clogged up really quick. Um, to really filter it out, uh, you need a pretty high end industrial multi filter, and you're going to be spending hundreds of dollars on those. So anytime you can duct that out, um, it's the better. And if you're setting up a fairly permanent location for your laser, keep in mind shorter distance as possible, fewer bends, and if you can keep your bends at 45s instead of 90, better. And anytime you can use just straight walled, metal ducting, or even the PVC, but the kind of the flexible hosing with the coil, those kind of waffles in it, they cut down on the airflow by like almost a magnitude of 5 times, um, for the same distance of a straight walled. So anytime you can shorten that up, or use a like a aluminum or steel ducting to replace that stuff, you're going to see better improvement in your airflow from your pulling with your fan. So really hard to filter that out. So
Yeah, I just use lots of air going outside. That's that's the only way you're gonna really get rid of it completely, and you're still gonna have some. That stuff just smells. Light source is saying the same thing. He's saying he don't think your chat's coming through. I don't know why it's not, but I looked. It's showing your channels are connected. So
yeah, I don't know.
it's probably the same reason that my audio's been being weird. But I don't know. I don't know why they did this way this time. But
It's your new background.
no, I didn't. Matter of fact, I didn't change that background either. I don't know why that's there like that. What in the world? I wish they would just quit messing with it. They're gonna mess me up and make me go somewhere else, because I'm already wanting to try that other software
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
So
Well,
they're gonna push me on out.
yeah,
There you go.
I'll keep an eye on my chat, and so I can grab questions and such. Unfortunately, we just won't be able to pull them up on screen.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. I looked to see if they added a setting somewhere, but I haven't seen it. So I don't know. Don't know. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, Herbert's saying they've got an old 20 watt they use just for leather, and just take the whole thing outside when they have to do leather.
That's one way.
Yep. Yep.
That's one way. Uh, Forget me not. I run mine just using pigtails and plugs and so forth. There is a such thing in some situations. I haven't had a problem with it because I regulate mine prior to it getting to the solenoid. But there have been some, and some solenoids, I guess, are worse than others. If you allow, just like when you move your steppers or you move your machine really fast, it can generate electricity. Well, some of those solenoids can do the same, especially if you're running really, really high pressure air, depending on the stroke of it and all that. So a lot of times it's not a bad idea to put a capacitor or something in line when you connect it. I haven't, and so far I haven't had any problems. But like I said, I've got my air pressure regulated down to like 2 psi before it ever gets to the solenoid. So I'm not, it's not getting like really hard pressure to that solenoid. It's literally whatever's coming out of my nozzle is what's going into the solenoid. I'm not putting it behind it on 80 psi or whatever. But my whole air system I've got regulated down to about 60, I think it is, and then it breaks it down even further at the enclosures. Because like this one over here, I think I've got it running with this new material. I had to add a little bit of air assist to this one, just to keep down. It was leaving a few little spots here and there. So I turned the air assist up on this one. It's doing a lot better job. But usually it's less than 5 psi is what is making it to the relays. But a voltmeter and a little bit of wiring and some, if you've got the pigtails to make adapters and stuff, that's the best way to do it. But you may want to look at putting you a capacitor or something in there just in case it does get a sudden jolt of electricity. The capacitor will kind of absorb it. But I haven't had a problem.
Hello, Darren, from Texas. Any regrets buying K40? I mean, it depends on what you're expecting out of it. A lot of people have started on K40s because they historically and traditionally have been inexpensive ways to get into lasers. Um, they do leave a bit to be desired. If you like to tinker and play and upgrade, they're definitely fun for that. Um, I personally feel like for the size of the box and the working area, it's a bit small of a working area from the amount of space it takes up, but it also comparatively doesn't cost a lot compared to your next level up of CO2s. So definitely something to get started with, but I think as you grow with it, you start seeing some of the limitations with it. But
Yeah, if you're only going to be doing small things, okay. But that the work area on that K40 is the biggest. That's the biggest problem I had with it was I couldn't do anything bigger than a piece of notebook paper. So.
mhm.
Went to Smoke Fest. Yep, Steve said he went to Smoke Fest in Cartersville, Georgia. I don't know what that is. I'll have to check that out. But I said he spent too much money. Forget me not. You should have an output, depending on what machine it is. It's going to have an output that goes to the air compressor. It's got to have either an M7 or M8 relay. A lot of the Atom Stacks and the newer Eitzers and stuff like that just have an output wire that goes to the compressor generally. But if you may want to be really careful if you're having to ask that, you may want to be real careful if you start doing it, because you really don't want to mess up the board with that. So, but typically you're going to have an output from the machine going to the pump with most of these systems. If you don't have a easily recognized output that goes to the air pump that you're currently using, then you may want to just not try to go forward with that.
So over on my channel, Don Owens is asking, in my X-Tool S1 video, I had shown some scratch acrylic, and apparently I may have missed a link to it. So that's it's a laser safe acrylic, and it's two colored, so it has generally like a black surface, and then it'll have a color underneath, or maybe it'll have a mirrored surface and a color. That specific stuff was from a company called Great Carve, and they had provided me some samples of it to play around with. Um, it it's not all of the colors work well on diodes, especially the lighter ones. They'll generally engrave okay, but they don't always cut through, especially if there's like a white underneath a red, things like that. But yeah, it's some fun stuff. There are a few other places that sell the same thing, just a two-toned. You just want to make sure it's a laser safe product, as opposed to some of them where they're meant more for a CNC.
Well, Darren, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, if you could swing the bigger 60-watt Mon port, it's leaps and bounds as far as the capabilities of the machine and what you can do with it. Uh, the K40, like I said, is very limiting. If you're planning on doing a project bigger than this right here, you're not going to do it with the K40 because you can't even really do cutting like the tile method. You can't do that with it because it's inside the box. Whereas with some of the other diodes, if you were trying to engrave something really long, you could just, move it and position it correctly. But with the K40 machines, you literally have this much area to work with, and that is it. So the 60 watt would definitely be a big improvement from it. My Mon port, my K40 is sitting up there in the attic collecting dust. Actually, it's not collecting dust because it's wrapped up in cellophane, but it's not being used.
Yeah, the K40s are good for uh, people like Dark Force made, who Frankensteined it. Added a bigger working area, light burn specific board, things like that. For people who want to tinker, it's a good set of guts, or someone who wants to just play a little bit. But they can also be really frustrating if you're not doing, especially when you want to get into cutting on like the typical bed. It has like that weird clamp thing, and if your material's more than about an eighth to maybe 4 or 5 millimeters, it gets out of focus right away without having some sort of lifting table and taking that stuff out. So eh, most people that buy the K40 are either they move on really quickly, or they spend a lot of time and money modifying it, tweaking
Yeah.
it. So if it's in your budget and you're looking at the bigger models, take a serious look at the bigger models and what you might end up doing to the K40. And that's where I was at, 7, 8 years ago when I was looking at my first laser. I started looking at those thinking, I mean, at the time they were like $250 or something for a base K40. And then I started looking into like, well, I'm going to want to do this, I'm going to do that. And pretty soon I was at like $1,000 from that 250. So then I started looking at the next size up. And then after that, I started looking at the next size up. And then I just said, I got to stop this and just buy one before I start, you know, I'll just keep going. Well, if I wait a little bit longer, I can get that next one. So I would definitely look at what do some searching on what people have done to them, because there's some cool things people have done to them. But if you don't like to tinker, don't like to mess around with that, you're gonna be probably quickly disappointed with it. So
Yeah. Forget me not. I don't, and I think somebody's just answered this also. I don't think the Otura LM3 has a M7 or M8 output on the controller. I think the newer one may have on the Otura, but I don't know which one you have. Because what was the one that we got? That was the Otura that we got the upgrade for, wasn't it? Where
yeah, the 20 watt
the 20
weird
watt
thing.
upgrade? Yeah.
They do have you can turn them off on and off with macros for because they had their enclosure, their fabric one
Yeah.
that you could turn the fan on or the light on and off. But I don't think they had the
Yeah, I don't think it had the air assist.
I don't think it had the air assist that Lightburn could control.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew they had the lights. They had the lights and they had the fan because Klein uses he's got the Otura LM3. We upgraded it. and that's what he runs. And he likes the being able to turn the lights on and off and the fan on and off with it.
Hmm.
But I didn't. I thought it had a regular, just standard air assist, but I couldn't remember. What's up, North Alabama Smoke? How are you? Oh, it's been a long week, guys. My leg's still, man, my leg is still banged up. I don't know. I don't know how long it takes for a severely sprained muscle in your thigh to get better, but it takes more than a week. I was trying to kneel down today to try to do some stuff, and it started talking to me.
Well, seems like if you play for the Minnesota Vikings, then they're all season-ending injuries when you're talking about muscles in legs.
Mm.
So that's a whole other thing. But so yeah, over my channel, Greg's commenting a great video this morning about the A1, and so I had posted a video this morning, just a super basic entry into Tinkercad, because I know a lot of people had been asking about, how do you design for 3D printers, and I wanted to use some software that I mean is free and isn't full of ads and whatnot. And so Autodesk puts this out, and they actually promote it for use with kids. So there's like no ads or anything. Pretty decent software for doing some 3D design, and is really kind of geared towards putting sending files to a 3D printer at that. And so I needed a focus tool holder for my Lasermatic, and I printed a spare. It's just a simple box with a couple pockets in it, and I talk in there how to size them, get them aligned, and just it doesn't get any easier than basically 3 boxes put together. But that's how we start. We start with the simple projects, right? So
Yeah.
um,
What's the extra little hole for?
well, I figured since I was making it, the ones for the focus tool, this one's for the USB drive, the stick that comes with it.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay. I
I
got you.
figured why not stick that there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have to,
Yeah,
but
mine
yeah,
winds up on a
it's
keychain.
yeah. But I figure keep it with that. Was
Yeah.
so the way I made these, actually, this one, it's I wouldn't call it friction fit. It's tight enough that it's not super loose, but you can pull it out without like pressure. This one is more of a snug friction fit, so it's not going to fall out, but you can still, when you use that 3M adhesive, once that's on, it kind of stays put, and you can give it a little pressure. Um, so yeah, I've had a few people comment on that they really appreciated that, and so I'm going to try to do more of those. Maybe figure out some more advanced things. Maybe make one thing that comes to mind is a vent adapter, that you can. I've had to 3D print those for both my P2 and my S1, but luckily someone else did the design work for me. I just took their file and printed it out, and it worked. But yeah, it's Tinkercad's a nice, simple software to get started with that without being overwhelmed with too many options. So I figured that would be a good one to use for that.
Yeah. Ed's asking, what PSI do you run your air compressor or for air assist? I've got my air compressor actually turned down to like 60 outside. And part of the reason is just because I don't want it to get too pressurized, because the more pressurized it is outside when it comes inside, the more the chances it's going to pick up water as it is released into the enclosures. So I've got the regulators coming off of the main line before it gets to the machine. And the regulator has a water separator right there at it. And I regulate it down to, I don't regulate it based on any specific PSI. I set mine in the cut. While the machine's cutting, I sit there and I adjust the pressure, turn it all the way off, turn the air all the way off, and set it to just run a cut. It can just go back and forth, and sit there and just slowly add pressure to it until you get rid of all of the shading and the staining around the cut. And once it gets to where it just literally looks like a hair laying on the material, lock it down and leave it right there. There is no right answer as far as PSI, in my opinion, because the size of the exit hole in the nozzle, the size of the tubing that feeds it, the size of how much space is inside there on the cone, all of those things are going to affect the pressure as it goes through the system. The best way to do it is just by watching that cut and dialing it in until you get that clean cut. But I do have a video that kind of shows you that, and we're some visual aids as far as I turn mine all the way down until it starts making scorch lines, and then slowly walk it up to demonstrate it how I go about setting it. But that's how I do mine. Some people will tell you, oh, it needs to be 6 to 8 psi or whatever. I run as much air as is required and no more, because there's one, you're just going to overwork your air compressor. You're going to increase the chances of getting like water in the system. The more it runs, the harder it runs. So it works best for me doing it that way. So, what do you think, Steve?
I I mean, I agree with you. That being said, I mean, other than the chance of water and, you know, extra wear and tear in your air compressor, it's not going to hurt anything too much to be running too much air versus not enough air. So you know, it's good to play around because, yeah, no one wants to have that thing running any more than it needs to. The other issue being is if you're cutting small parts and you don't use tabs or whatnot, the more air you have, the more likely it's going to start throwing things around and such. But yeah, it's it like you say, every system's different. My larger CO2, I would have to run about 20 psi at the air compressor to get the right air at the nozzle. But I mean, there was still 8 feet of line. So was it really 20 psi at the nozzle? No, but that's what it had to be running at the air compressor to get the right air out at the nozzle of the laser. So it make sure you got some variability on it. Make sure you got a moisture trap as close to the endpoint as possible. And if you're tapping into like a shop air system, put an extra one like at the laser, however you can, as close to the nozzle as you can. Yeah, that's where where dialing in at that point works best.
Yeah, like I said, I've got a video on how I've got my air assist set up. Like I said, there's 1,000 ways you can do it, but mine tends to work very well. And so, if that's something you're interested in, you can go check it out. I think that's gonna be it right there. Let me grab a link. Hey, that was back when I still had my K40 in line, or M40. That's been a minute.
So I also
Chris said you read this mind over there.
Yeah. Something you can. I've bought a lot of the metal ones too, but it's a good project to be able to play around with. Sometimes you want to have a different connector, a different size. Plus, the metal ones, they tend to have seams, whereas a good 3D print one won't. So it'd probably be a little more, sealed up, because nothing worse than having pinholes and smoke leaking out your seams on the metal joints. But another thing that I ended up doing this weekend is, speaking of air systems, I had created some plywood clamps that allow you to mount ducting to, and of course did that in 4-inch, and I've had a few requests to do that in the 6-inch piping to scale it up. So I was able to take a little bit of time. I figured since I was sitting down at the computer to design the focus tool holder, I did get those designed out, and they are out in my Etsy shop. So people have been asking about that. I'll put some links out to it eventually, but did get that done and out there. So if you're designing an exhaust system and want some cool clamps, I've got a video on it. Check it out. And if you're interested in the files, you can grab them from me as well. And now I've got both 4 and 6 inch sizes. So,
Yeah, that's it. Always seems like everybody wants the opposite of the one that you make. You know what I mean? I've had
yeah,
that happen.
well, and it you'd think we'll just blow it up 150%. Well, everything else changes, the bolt holes and
And
all
if I
that
say now
stuff.
you got to
So
go back and resize all the bolt holes.
yeah, and then resize the tabs
Yeah,
and the joints for 1/4 inch material or whatever you're using. So yeah, it it didn't take as long as designing the original, but it's almost it's still time. And I've had people ask me that about the enclosure too. They'll ask like, hey, can't you just make your enclosure bigger for an extended one? I'm like, well, you can, but now you got to touch almost every single piece and
yeah,
adjust it. So it's kind of redesigning the whole thing.
yeah. Well, we appreciate it, V. I don't know why the comments aren't coming through or whatever, but just you know, every little bit helps. But we don't. It ain't like we make a killing off these lives anyway. We do these for fun. These aren't. These are not the most profitable thing you can do on YouTube.
These are to get us pumped for the work week.
Yeah, these are. I think my most ever was like $3, maybe $3.
Yeah, but no, they're a fun way to kind of wrap up the week and check in with everybody. So we enjoy doing them. We were glad everybody comes and hangs out as well. And
Oh yeah.
this is we've been labeling the episode in the description for a little
Yeah.
while. I don't know if people noticed. This is what 89.
89.
So we're sneaking up on 100. Now I don't know if you ever got around to checking my math, but I think November 3rd, that Sunday, would be episode 100.
You know me and math don't play well together, right?
Well, I mean, I know but hey, after this week, there's only 10, so you can use your fingers.
But yeah, it was something like that. And but yeah, it'll be 100. The I went back and I had to go back and start all the way at number 1, and I put in there episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, all the way up
Hmm.
until I got them done. And the bad thing is I lost count and had to go back and redo like half of them because I messed up and used the same number twice. Because like I said, me and numbers do not get along. But
So
that's just how it is.
so yeah, we'll see if we could have some fun that night or something for making it to tolerating each other for 100 straight episodes.
Yeah. Hey, our collaboration on our lives lasts longer than a lot of people's marriages.
Oh wow, yeah. But
I got
yeah,
I got buddies that hadn't been married this long yet, already getting divorced.
well, I'll have my lawyer draft up the papers and send them to you.
I hear you. I hear you. Uh, Jason says he's from Australia. He's a graphic designer, but very new to lasers. Has the X2D1 Pro. Any tips, etc.? Absolute or relative coordinates? Absolute. If you've got a Pro, absolute. The only reason that you would need to use like current position is in the event that you have a small area to operate in, like the bottom of a bowl or something. In my opinion, Steve may differ, but that's my opinion.
Well, the only thing, no, I agree. The only thing that I would say is, as long as you've got your wiring set up right, so that it can home correctly. Those D1
True.
Pros, so you get the cabling that's bunched up on the backside of that gantry rail, and it'll sometimes hit the frame before the inductive limit switch triggers, which will then throw off your absolute coordinates or error out. So just make sure your cabling is tight. Then your homing switches should work pretty well. And I prefer to work in absolute coordinates anytime I can because it opens up using jigs, and repeatability is so much easier. Did you get it back into the same spot every time? That's where it's really nice. But And if you're a graphic designer, I mean, XCS is good, but you may like Lightburn because it closer mirrors things like Illustrator and such little. So you might want to look at that
Or
software as well to work
he
in.
may have some really really good software.
Well, right, but I mean, as far as correlating to what he's probably used to, I think
Yeah,
Lightburn's going to be closer to have a lot of the similar tools than necessarily
yeah,
XCS.
yeah. That the D1, you would think they could have spared like a couple more inches of cabling on those machines, but yeah, every one I've ever seen did that. You have to like really get in there and make sure that there's not any twists and turns, and you got to get those cables to lay just right to make sure that doesn't happen. But you can set up a file and just do like a little box in your work area on some scrap material, piece of cardboard or something, and just home the machine 2 or 3 times and just send it out and burn that little square and just make sure that every time it burns exactly on top of that square. And as long as you're homing consistently, that's what you got to have. You want consistency, even if it's not
Hmm.
exactly 0 0 every time. If it's stopping at 0.5 or 0 1, as long as it stops there every single time, it's okay. You just want it to be consistent.
Yep.
Yeah, Dark Force said that 3D printers can pay for themselves pretty quick, and they can. I use mine a lot. Between the
It,
CNC, and the laser, I make all kinds of crap.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting looking at the comments on my first bamboo video. There are some people that are very like, yeah, I spend a lot of money and all I do is print out weird things I could buy at the store, and that's true. That could be, but you got to look at it, and it's not. I mean, the same thing could be said for a laser. Is that I mean, all I do is make things that I could buy at Hobby Lobby. It's you as the creator that really make it a useful tool, and sometimes that's. I mean, yeah, I could probably buy some of these things, but I can also go find a file that someone else designed, print the thing out, and especially with the speed of these, all of a sudden I have a useful
Yeah.
little
Well,
tool holder in half an hour. So
and this is another way to
it's
look at it. You can also print things that other people buy at Hobby Lobby and sell it to them instead of sending them to Hobby Lobby. I mean, or
I mean,
Walmart or wherever.
you could, but a lot of times I don't know that you're going to make money off that. It's the convenience factor for me, then being able to customize and do that. So,
See, these folks will not be going to Hobby Lobby,
mhm.
and I make a boatload of these. I'm friends with wedding planners, balloon arch people, baby reveal people, baby shower folks. Yeah, make friends with those folks. It gets you a lot of work. Did you see this comment, Steve?
Yeah,
Guys, we're working on some stuff, and I'm not going to guarantee anything happen, but we're working on some stuff for our 100th viewing, and we're going to try to do more audience involved stuff as we go further into it. But we're having to get some ducks in a row first.
yeah. So yeah, and that's one of the reasons that we try to stay engaged with some of these companies is hopefully to be able to give back to the community in ways like that. If we can negotiate into our agreements, like, hey, I'll do something on this, but I want you to kick in something I can give away to my audience and such. Those are
Yeah,
things we're trying to pursue. And yeah, we'll hopefully have some fun stuff to do around that 100th episode, and as we get into the holiday season and such, we'll see what we can do. Because we really do appreciate everyone that hangs out with us, watches our videos, and you know uses our links and buys stuff. But we try not to ask too much of that, but it definitely does. Um, you know,
yeah,
I, I mean, it's great to see people watching the videos and even just leaving a fun, supportive comment of whatever.
yeah,
Because there's, just getting that feedback of, hey, I watched this, I really appreciate it, it was fun, or just a fun comment on them. It
yeah,
it makes it feel a little more worthwhile that you're not just dropping this video out into a black hole and seeing some
Well,
random numbers.
I
So
was gonna say you're always gonna have a few comments, but they're not always gonna be the good folks.
yeah,
It's gonna be the trolls or the negative Nancy's or those people that you could literally write them out a check for $1,000 and they'd find a reason to complain about it. I mean, those people are always gonna comment on the video. So a lot of times, you have to a lot of times just block those guys out and just know that for the one person that says something negative, 10 people watched it and either didn't dislike it bad enough to say anything, or they actually liked it and just didn't want to, make a spectacle of themselves. So, we do appreciate it though. I'm just bullheaded enough. I just tell them, if you don't like the videos, keep scrolling. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube. You can just scroll on and find more.
yeah, yep.
So, but I am thankful that at least a few of you guys like watching the videos anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg. I built my garage. I guess you could call it a garage. Let's see here. Got to think back. How old's my youngest? Almost 16 years ago. And in those 16 years, it has seen vehicles other than my motorcycle, which now I've also gotten rid of. Maybe 2 to 3 years tops. I can't remember the last time I know I pulled a vehicle in to check the brakes a while ago, but no, they don't live in there anymore. Now it's when it gets winter up here, I do have to try to make sure that I go out there and I scrape the ice and the snow off my wife's car because it's not sitting all toasty in the garage. But yeah, no, it's what went from I'm going to throw a workbench up at the front of it, but we'll still be able to park 2 cars in there, has quickly been enveloped by full on workshop space. So I hear you. Yeah, Greg, the A1, a lot of the stuff you could buy, but like I say, for me, it's kind of neat to. I mean, I just like making. I like tinkering. I like playing around with stuff, and some of it is not even has no other purpose than it's just cool. So I've been printing out a Saturn V rocket, and these are all individual pieces. And I could buy a plastic model kit, but there's something cool about and the nice thing about this one is I just printed out their files and I went, well, that's cute, but you can scale the item in the software. So I can make this twice as big or maybe even bigger. So that's
Yeah, making stuff is half the fun.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Oh, well, we appreciate it, Dark Forest. Like I said, we don't always have the answers, but we can usually find somebody that knows, even if it's just one of you guys, because some of you guys know more about some of the stuff than me and Steve do. We're just the ones that are goofy enough to get on here and actually make videos about it. So
crazy enough.
Yeah, that's the only difference. I mean, I'm just like everybody else in this channel, more than likely. Everybody else in this live. I'm out here. I took what used to be a usable shop for other things, and I've just crowded it up with a bunch of toys. And I figured out how to make a little bit of money with these toys, and so I keep getting more toys to go with these toys. But
speaking of other things I've printed, and probably seeing a theme here.
Oh, are you building your little space station over there?
So this is actually you're supposed to put LED lights.
I was going to say that's going to get some backlights, isn't it?
Yep. So what I'm doing with this, so this is a file that's out there, and I'm printing this out to kind of get the idea of like, okay, that's how they did it. That's how that worked. Because I want to then figure out, okay, how do I go and take my logo and make an LED box out of it?
Oh, look at you.
So it's sometimes I'm printing
you can do a mirror.
Well, yeah, but I've done mirrors. I want to do the 3D print thing. So
That'd be cool.
But also, random Amazon purchases here.
Oh no.
I found this thing really funny. So, I've talked about the the power pack, the solar generator or whatever, right?
Hmm.
So, when I'm traveling, I can plug it into my car and have it charge up just off the the power port. Well, I think I drew a little too much power through that cable on one of my recent trips because it stopped working and it had that kind of I think I melted look to it. So I had to go online and try to find the replacement. The stock replacement wasn't available, but I found one that should work. Had decent reviews on there. Now, mind you, this is an electrical component that's meant to power things.
Hmm.
This is the brand name.
If it's sparking, it's probably not a good sign.
High quality sparking. I'm like, I don't know.
Mm.
And then on the back it says search sparking in Amazon for more products. And they're
Mm.
all electrical things. I'm like, someone didn't do their research on that English word.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. I'm not. I do have more than a 12 by 12, so I'm in a 20. I'm 20 wide and 24 this way, but it is slammed. And Steve, like I said, Steve built his 2 car garage up there that he can't get a car in. I think all of us have similar problems when it comes to that. I hope that once I get closer to retirement, hopefully I can build me a bigger shop and have. I'm going to use this one to like just basically for like storing the Christmas tree and household storage and my boat right over there, and hopefully have me another one to actually work out of. But I don't want to tear this one down or get rid of it because it's really good for what it is. And it's took me 20 years to build this thing, so I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it as it stands. Yep. Dark Forest made. I appreciate it. We try not to go overboard with any of the marketing stuff. Like I said, me and Steve, we don't beg for donations or anything like that. We gladly accept them, but we know that you guys are just like us. Every little bit of extra money you have, you go buy yourself some new materials or some new filament or a new laser or whatever. And so it's I do enough work in my shop to pay the bills and to buy my toys and support my habits and all that. So I'm not going to be sitting here trying to talk you guys out of giving up a bunch of money. Now, if you do want to use the links, if you're going shopping on Amazon or if you're going to order a new machine or going to order some filament from Bamboo or something like that, and you want to use one of our links, appreciate it. But I don't want anybody to take away from, their toy budget to contribute to my toy budget. I can work these machines and use these machines to support my own habits.
Yeah.
And I've done a pretty good job of it so far.
Yeah, this I mean it's a side hustle, but for me it's I have to keep it at a hobby level because I have my main career and that needs to have my focus and that provides for my family and everything. And so yeah, I just appreciate being able to share things with people and inspire them. I mean that's my goal in all this. I want to inspire people and try to give people the confidence to work with the tools and play around with it. So, that's I appreciate all the support and but I prefer it to be a mutual benefit. Like you say, use the links if you're going to go shopping. But I want to just if I help someone, the ones I love is where people are like, hey, you finally helped me figure this out. It
Yeah.
finally made sense to me. That that's a lot of it for me.
Yeah, when you get that one go that says like, what was it? It's been in the past few days. Somebody sent me a message or something said they had their machine for 3 months and couldn't figure out how to use it and started watching the videos and had just got through with their first project off their machine and I was like, that's awesome. So yeah, it's because like I said, I'm not the smartest guy, but I think I do a decent job sometimes of people being able to understand and like follow me when I'm doing it with the cameras and talking people through it. So it helps some folks. There's others that aren't so kind with their words that must not like it, but it helps some folks.
Those are all the troll accounts I set up just to play with you.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you, I got hit with like 4 or 5 of them the other day, and I was like, seriously, guys? I
Yeah.
mean, y'all must have me confused with somebody that actually. I mean, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it.
Yeah.
Da, da, da. I put this up here for you too. MS said it was a very cool video, by the way, since she loves camping.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I'm glad. I'm glad. It wasn't my most viewed video by any means, but I had fun with it, and it was. Unfortunately, the bad part about it is just got really humid that day, so my energy kind of got sucked on it. But no, it was fun, and I try to keep most of the content on my channel workshop centric, to not drift out of the where like my wife keeps telling me, she's like, when's someone going to send you an e-bike or something fun? And I'm like, if I can figure out a way to work that into my workshop and get you an e-bike, I will. But
yeah. Well, I did start the other channel, and for you
Yeah.
guys that haven't been over there, which I haven't done nothing with it, I've been so busy, and I'm trying to get Brandy to like be involved with it more, and it not just be another clack channel. But I'm gonna try to all that kind of weird stuff. I'm gonna try to do that on that side of town, on that channel. So that way, if somebody does want to send me something cool, like something for fishing or whatever, I don't got to bore you guys with it, because I definitely would love to get into, like you said, just some toys that aren't necessarily shop related occasionally. But if you haven't already, go check it out. Go hit the subscribe button. There's not a whole lot over there yet. It's brand new. It is literally an infant. But that's the other channel. Me and Brandy are going to do more of the around the house kind of stuff on that channel as she gets to where she's ready to do it, and I have time. So we'll see how it goes. V said she got miter saws and planers in her living room.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people, they're living in an apartment and they'll have like just that small balcony area, and so they'll be out there with just like a scroll saw and a few other things, just trying to cut things down and then bring them inside and do stuff. So yeah, I mean, where there's will, the way. I mean, that's just it. I mean, whether you have a table in a spare room to, like Ryan was saying, a 30 by 50 shop, you'll always fill it up. Doesn't matter how much room you have, you'll find a way to fill it up. The important thing is you make it your own, and you can get out there and you can make stuff. You can get out in your workshop, make some stuff. That's the important thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Oh, look there. See, cool. Dark Force said, you're relatable and actually make content that teaches others. Big difference. That's why I buy files from both of you and not many other folks. Well, we appreciate it. Like I said, I know me and Steve both have similar philosophies in life and how we perceive what our channel should be about, and that's why that's why we get along as well as we do. Neither one of us are, we don't have conflicting ethics, I guess you would say, as far as our channels go. Now, sometimes our opinions and our approaches are like, daylight and dark, because we do things differently. But, between the two of us, we haven't found anything yet we can't solve. So, that's worth something. There you go. Steve, Jim just said he ordered a bamboo with your link.
Well, I appreciate that, Jim. Hopefully that'll come quickly and you can enjoy it.
Yeah, they were actually pretty fast when I ordered mine. It was within a week, I think.
Yeah, and they, at least here in the U.S., I think they ship out of New Jersey. Is that where they came from?
Yeah, mine came from somewhere around New Jersey.
So it's not coming out of typical California. It's coming out of New Jersey, and it's coming a heck of a lot faster than my replacement Raycon earbuds. I'll tell you that much.
Is that the ones that you can't find?
Okay, so I gotta I I've been blaming one of the orange cats because he likes
Yeah,
to
I know you
play
had
with
been
anything,
blaming
right?
the cat. Yeah.
So it was just bugging me yesterday, and I'm like, there's got to be somewhere. I'm looking under workbenches. I'm looking because he'll mess with stuff, but usually he just knocks it on the ground, plays around with it a little bit. He doesn't like have a stash in some corner of the house that everything goes to. So I'm like, I can't believe I haven't seen these things in a couple weeks. Well, I finally cracked open. I've got one of those Pelican cases that I can put a lot of my camera gear in, and when I went on my camping trip, I put a lot of my camera gear in there, and I was looking for something else, some cable or mini tripod or something. I open it up. I'm like, oh, well, there they are. so,
So
so
you found them?
meanwhile, yeah, I found them, and I think tomorrow maybe the other ones are going to show up finally in the mail because I ordered them like well over a week ago. But yeah,
Mm, cool. At least you
so
found them.
I apologized to the cat that I had been profiling this whole time and wrongly accusing him, but it's his
Yeah.
MO. I mean, I figured he probably took him.
Yeah. Uh, Michelle Saint Germain says, first time here and just wanted to say thank you. I've watched videos from both of us and they help so much. Well, appreciate it. As we've said, that is our biggest motivator. I mean, that's why I started my channel in the beginning because unlike unlike a lot of folks, I had a channel for the longest before I ever even started like having an opportunity to be monetized, and that's where you have to put in the work a lot of times. Without it's not like you can just start a channel and then next week, bam, you're getting paid. I never really anticipated actually getting paid. I was just doing it to help people, and then it just grew to the point to where I actually could make a little bit of money off of it. So and I think yours was pretty much the same way because you were doing the stuff with the model airplanes and stuff, weren't you?
Well, I yeah, I mean, I've had my YouTube channel for a long time because originally it was just so I could share model airplane videos. And then interestingly enough, I got monetized, and then I got unmonetized because I wasn't making the airplane videos anymore, and then they raised their requirements and whatnot. So then, actually, some of my first X-Tool videos, those weren't monetized at all at that time. So yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
more of a wanting to share information, have fun, show people what's going on, and yeah.
yeah. Uh, yeah, MS. I plan to quit my full time job in about 13 months. Steve is going to get mad at me because he don't want me talking about it. But I am going to be eligible to retire here in about 13 months. And my plan is to retire and use the shop to pay for my insurance and give me a little extra money to hopefully have a little fun in retirement. Luckily, the job that I chose, it didn't pay all that great, but the cool thing about it is when you retire, they still pay you a pretty good percentage of what you were making when you were working. So that's gonna, that doesn't account for insurance, and so you're looking at like $1,500 a month for insurance. So I've got to at least be able to make $1,500 a month extra for insurance to make the transition into retirement smooth. Uh, any more profit than that would be good, so that I could maybe go take a trip or go fishing or something like that. But 1,500 profit is pretty much gonna have. I'm gonna have to make that every week to pay for my insurance and stuff. But
Well,
I'm hoping that won't be a problem. I've got enough customers that I make stuff for every week that shouldn't be an issue.
I was gonna say that's only 15 to 20 stove covers that you got to add to the pile.
Oh yeah, well I'm doing more than that a month already. So I think I'll
Yeah.
be fine. We'll see
Um,
you, Miss Sharon.
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that they start out with just kind of the side hustle, and they build up some side income, they build some contacts, and um, it doesn't happen to everybody, but a lot of people, they eventually get to the point where they're like, my full time job is now making me less than my side gig, and it's getting in the way. So um, I, it takes some hustle. It's why they call it a side hustle. But as a matter of fact, it's funny. I was talking with some friends today while I was outside in the sun for way too long, and they were talking about the the weird experience of going to the bars and dealing with this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, man, I can't remember the last time I was out in a bar, just hanging out at night. I'm like, my time is spent in the workshop or, spending time
Yeah,
with my wife or kids or whatnot. And it's just, for me, I'm having fun in the workshop instead of spending money doing that. So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, it definitely takes time and it's hard to, so it's hard to, split your time, but just a little bit each day goes a long way towards becoming a better maker. And then spend a little time on social media or making those contacts through other local things, and usually the effort pays off. I'm not going to say it always pays off, because I've seen some people do everything right and it just doesn't take off. But if
yeah,
you put in the work, usually things come from that.
yeah. No, Robbie, I've almost recovered. My leg still, that muscle that I've ripped, it still limits me. But all in all, it's getting better. I can actually move around a little more than I used to could. So Mark says that until watching, he didn't realize how license plate were such a great seller. I think Mark may be the one that messaged me and said that he tried some of them after watching my video, and was like, they were flying like hotcakes now. I think he's the one that sent me. Somebody had sent me a picture, had a bunch of pictures of the ones that they had done, and they were selling them to, like, for rescue personnel and like search and rescue medics and stuff like that, and looked like they were doing a pretty good bit of them.
Sure.
So,
Um, I've got a couple questions over here that I can't bring up on screen, but
go
um,
ahead.
one we're going to be able to answer. Wi-Fi Dan is asking. He's looking for recommendation for paid training to try and understand and get a handle on the new 5-watt UV. Any suggestions? Unfortunately, neither you or I have worked with a UV laser. I don't know. I know Patrick, Light Source Engraving, you're in our chat. Have you? I know you've done a lot with fibers. I don't know if you've done anything with UV lasers. Um, but do you have any? Have you been watching anyone that would have some good content or to point them towards?
I have no idea. Like I said, I stay so busy. I watch a little bit of yours and some other folks that we're friends with, but for the most part, until I run into a brick wall that I can't figure out,
Yeah.
I just I'm just sticking with the stuff that I'm learning. I do cheat sometimes when I'm getting a machine in that I've never had before. Uh, I think Patrick said he's got a 5-watt UV.
Okay. So
So
yeah, Wi-Fi Dan, if you could check out Light Source Engraving, Patrick over there, I recommend his channel for people getting, doing a lot with fibers. He does a lot of deep engrave. He's been doing a lot of like knife projects and leather projects, things like that. So maybe check him out. Maybe go check in with him, and he can hopefully answer some of your questions or at least get you a little bit further. But unfortunately, I have not played around with any UV lasers yet.
yeah. Ralph said he stopped buying files on Etsy, seen too many for sale by folks other than the creator. Well, if you see my Etsy shop, those are my files, and there's probably a video that you can watch with me creating them. It is an issue, folks stealing your files and reselling them. I think Steve has been a victim of that. So far, I haven't found anybody doing me that way, but I keep my prices so low that if they stole my files and tried to use them, by the time they undercut me to sell them, because they're gonna have to be found on Etsy before I'm found, and then two, their price is going to have to be lower than what my price is, and my prices are so low that by the time they do it, it's just so much headache. They're not going to make a lot of money off of it, because like I said, I just don't charge that much for mine, and
Yeah.
so that's
Y-
that's my defense to it, is to try to keep my prices so low that the return on investment for them is just not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a couple of, like, I had someone, I forget what country they were in, somewhere in South America, they had stolen my uh, enclosure plans. I actually had someone take the plans and try to repost them on Etsy. I sent them a very quick, "Hey, knock it off," and they actually pulled it down right away. But the other one, I tried. I mean, even have a lawyer friend. I said, "Hey, can you just send me some lawyer language to send this guy?" It's unfortunately part of the game. People will take your stuff, and I mean, it's one thing to take it and put their spin on it, but when they just completely rip off your files and everything and just repackage them, it's frustrating. So it's definitely something to be mindful of if you are going to get into that, trying to sell some of your own designs and such. You you can only you're a bit at the whim of people's goodwill to not take your creation and just and use your own. So um but yeah, I do try to be cautious when I'm looking at Etsy files to try to look at the seller, try to see, does it look like they legit, have they designed a lot of similar things? Does it look like that's truly their creation, or is it something that they've stolen? It's hard to be 100% even if they're, whether it's on Etsy or elsewhere. So use your best judgment. Um, Try to support the original as best you can, the original creator, but it's impossible to police it worldwide 100%.
As we're talking about that, we had a spammer, one of the scammers, come into the chat over here.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
I had to deal with that. Oh
Um,
man,
Fred's asked a question in both our chats. I was going to bring this one up, but wondering about a cabling. Originally used on P20 uh, versus a V35. The P20 has a 4-pin, while the V35 has a 5-pin. So looking to add the extension, but has the wrong pin module or wrong pin on the cable.
yeah. When I upgraded mine, there's they actually have uh, an adapter or different cable. The newer machines do have the 5 pin, whereas the older modules had the 4. And I don't remember whether it was an adapter or a different cable. I don't recall, but I'm wanting to say it came with two. I'm thinking it came with two different wired harnesses. But the one they sent me, there was an adaptation that had to be done.
Hmm.
But I don't remember. I can't. It's been so long. I don't remember if it was if it was just an adapter cable or if it was a whole nother cable. But
Yeah, I haven't done any of the extensions on the 8s or a Tezer, however that's said. Uh,
yeah,
so, but yeah, most of the ones I had, they either came with the optional cables for the different modules, or you had to request it. Unfortunately, as we've heard, they're not the best at getting back to people on support recently. So that
yeah,
hopefully isn't your only option. I mean, push come to shove, you could probably source the appropriate length cable and the right connectors, but that's getting into it's getting into that tinker realm where you may or may not be comfortable with.
yeah. Let's see.
Over in my chat, our carpenter's asking, "Will I be at the Minnesota Woodworkers Guild show at the fairgrounds this October?" So they've, I was there last year when they were at Canterbury Down Expo Center, which is a lot closer to me than the state fair is. They have been asking if I want to come back, and I told them unfortunately I can't commit to it just yet. They are hoping to have myself or someone else that could do some laser stuff. Um, I I wish I knew a little bit better. I wish I could predict the weather better. If I knew I could be outside and really do some demonstrations, I hate being inside and trying to run the hokey smoke extractors to do demonstrations. But it's also it's a tough time, busy time and such too. So it's probably going to be like a week or two before if I know I'm going to go or not. I may go and just attend, even if I'm not uh, demonstrating all day, and I'll definitely let people know on the live stream as we get closer, and I'll try to put some posts out there if I am going. But I don't want to commit to them yet and not be able to make it. So unfortunately, I'm not sure, but it is fun. I've been going off and on the past 5 6 years as just an attendee, as well as last year demonstrating there. So if you're in the Twin Cities or greater Minnesota, Western Wisconsin area, it's worth checking out.
Not sure what website you're talking about, Tommy. Unless you're talking about the rugby, what's the name of it? Rugby Architectural Building Products. That's the place I got the wood from, but I'm not sure what website you're talking about. So you might drop that one again. Maybe I'll see it this time. Jur O'Grady, I don't have anything when it comes to like selling on Etsy or anything. That's not something that I've ever really been asked about, to be honest with you. And as far as I know, Steve really doesn't have anything on that topic either, do you, Steve?
No, I mean, uh, this first I've had someone ask me about it. Um, I guess Tommy's asking about your new channel.
Oh,
Um, uh, with CNC files, it's a little bit different than lasers, but which the few tips I can give you really quickly. You want to double and triple check your files to make sure they're rock solid, that you don't have overlapping lines, you don't have open lines. So when you export your vector, that it's a clean option. And then from there, there's a balance of trying to offer it in as many popular formats as possible. So with CNC, you might want to offer a DXF, an SVG, and possibly maybe a Vectric file, or if you can get your hands on some of the other formats, being able to offer those as well is helpful. But then it really comes down to make sure you've got, you want to be able to clearly state that it is a digital file, even though it is set as an option. People seem to get confused. Um, and
yeah,
then, on Etsy, it's all about your presentation. So you want to have a really good thumbnail that explains what it is clearly without being cluttered. Use up as many photos as you can. If you can do a quick video, you can, and then it's in the description. The big gotcha, though, is you have to have a way to market it, because pick your marketplace. If people aren't aware it's out there, you're just one of many. That's where Clack and
yeah,
I have the advantage. Usually there's a video that goes with it.
yeah.
And so we're driving that, like, hey, we made this, and if you're interested in the file, here it is, go over there. I personally have some friends who have made some really cool files, and they put it out on Etsy, and it's a month or two and they finally sell one, just because they don't kind of have this megaphone of people watching their content to say, hey, I made this cool thing, go check it out, maybe you want to buy it.
Yeah.
You still have to do your own marketing with it.
Yeah, that is where doing the videos and stuff, it does help for stuff like that. I mean, my Etsy shop would not do what it does without the videos. Steve, you
So
okay over there?
I'm I'm concerned that the aforementioned cat may have just knocked something down upstairs.
It sounded like it was metallic in nature.
Yeah. Well, the kitchen is just above me.
Oh my goodness. But
You know, I may want to go check that out.
you may want to go see what that was. That very well could have been bad.
I'll
Take
be
a
right back.
picture. Take a picture and bring it back with us. Oh, that sounds like a mess. All right, guys. While we're here, I'm gonna try to get caught up on these questions here. Uh, Dana, the machine that I used the Monport 30-watt Mopo over here to do that. The thing about doing handcuffs, unless they're coated, if they're like some type of like powder coated stainless or something like that, you're going to have a fiber to mark them. A lot of them are going to be just straight stainless steel, and then some of the newer ones are going to be like a polymer type material with usually anodized steel of some type. So you're definitely gonna want to be leaning more towards a fiber machine, and you could do it with like the laser pecker or the F1 or something, even with the 2 watt module. What'd you figure out?
Now, is that a guilty looking face or not?
It
It's
looks
gotta
like
be.
she's ready to go get somewhere. Did you find it?
Yeah, one of the boys made some eggs for dinner,
Mm-mm.
and the cat the pan didn't get cleaned out well, so the cat was trying to clean it out.
Brian, no, we haven't changed the stream software. They have updated it. The logos and stuff. That's on our end where we put those on there. My gosh, the bottom
What'd
just
you do?
fell out. The bottom just fell out over here. I didn't put the cover on the boat. Now I gotta wait 2 more days for it to dry out.
Oh, is it raining?
Yes,
Uh,
I had the cover off because it got rained in yesterday, and I was letting it dry, and so now we got this again. So, all right.
oh,
Da, 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 da.
what I miss? Let's see.
Uh, what? Having a clean mirror. Uh, I would say that it's normal, but as long as you can get it cleaned, that's okay. You probably you probably need to if you're having to clean it with a magic eraser, you probably need to run just a little more power on it to try to get that clean. But if you run too much, you're going to frost it. So if you're getting the desired look, even having to use a magic eraser, I would probably just stick with what you got going. Because if you go too hot, then you're going to get the frosted look. So it's a balance.
Hello.
Woo! Hello. Lightning's trying to get me. Let's see over here.
Did you address the one about this one, the air filter, air purifier? This
Uh, no, but I will tell you this. I don't have the X Tool air filter. I do have the laser pecker one, and I will say this: the other day when I was doing acrylic with that air purifier, I think it's pretty much you have both, I think, Steve, but I think it's pretty much the same design. I was still smelling a little bit of acrylic, so
Yeah.
I don't think you're ever going to get 100%.
Yeah, I mean these units are just
Hang
too
on.
small, um, and so there are 3 stages, and the problem is to really get the smell out. You need a lot of that uh, activated charcoal, um, but you also need the airflow going through, so that the particulate filter gets clogged up really quick on there, and then you're just pulling a lot of that through, and then eventually it'll actually stop moving much air as that gets clogged up. So you can kind of clean those out a little bit, but I've used the X-Tool one, both the desktop model with the F1 as well as the larger one that they uh, support with the S1, the T2, and the D1 and such. They take the edge down. They work okay at first, but yeah, you're not. Unfortunately, it's just not necessarily going to be enough to really cut the whole smell out. It just doesn't have enough. There's not enough medium there. There's not enough filtering going on for those to work 100%. Um, so it's I tend to use mine when I'm at events, and they'll tell me, yeah, it's okay, you can run them, and it'll help cut it down, but without spending a lot more on the filters, or a bigger unit with bigger filters. Unfortunately, they're they're trying to make something that is affordable, but it's I don't know. There's a lot of people that are in that window where they bought it and they kind of feel like, well, I feel like I maybe wasted money, and so it
Yeah.
depends on your expectations. But yeah, if you're trying to keep a a complete clean air, definitely, it's you're just you want to figure out if you can bend it outside.
Yep. Gray, we only allow it under certain criteria based upon training and only for those people who are certified in doing such. The insurance companies frown heavily upon those maneuvers, and therefore we have to be very restrictive. And if the guys aren't certified and there's not a there's a the threat level of allowing the pursuit to continue has to be more than the threat level of executing a maneuver. So you have to. It's a judgment call, and it's one of those judgment calls that you have to be careful with because if 6 months later a room full of people think that you did the wrong thing, you end up getting in trouble, getting sued, or whatever the case may be. So it's I would avoid it. I advise folks to avoid it when possible. We use spikes and stuff, and just stay with them and spike them. Unless it's really really dangerous, like if it's if they're trying to kill people with a vehicle, then it's a whole other ball game. But we do avoid that.
So is your temperature dropping with that rain?
It's 80 in here, 33% humidity. It'll take
Oh,
a
that's
minute.
low.
Yeah, it'll take a minute for it. Oh, it's 81 in here now. I guess it's going the wrong way. But the temperature outside, yeah, it'll drop. But now I'm not stuck in the shop. I have my BFU that I keep over by the door, just for situations like this.
I mean, it's not like you'll melt if you get wet, right?
No, you get soaked in that right there before you can make it to the house. And I can't run. I got this whole pulled uh, gluteus maximus or whatever you want to call it right here. This whole hammy. I'm talking about the inside of my leg was solid black and like black and yellow and purple, where that muscle pulled so hard. So there's not any running on my end today.
So I have a question over here from Lori. Do either of us know anything about the Tyvok S1 60-watt laser and CNC combo machine that is being developed? And I'm familiar with Tyvok. I haven't looked. I haven't had my hands on any of their equipment, so I can't speak to that. But they seem to be coming out with a number of different things. And so, I mean, it's good when you're seeing kind of maybe a little more unique. It's not just a knockoff or rebranded type thing. But I can't speak to the company from any firsthand experience. My issue with combo machines, especially laser and CNC, is they tend to do maybe one well and the other one okay, or neither one as good as standalone machines. So the question I have to ask is, what is the motivator that the person needs a dual machine for? In some cases, that's they only have so much space, or it might be that they primarily use one. So there's a lot of people who have like the Onefinity CNC, and then they'll get the JTech laser module because they only occasionally will laser engrave. Mostly they do CNC work, and that's understandable. But for me, it depends on how well they switch between the two, and then how much that one operation interferes with the working of the other. So a CNC is going to create a lot of dust. It's going to get on the rails. It's going to get around places, and or you have to now adapt in a dust collection system as well. And then when you want to switch to the laser, the issue is, unless you have a machine that understands the offset of the two, you have to re-zero. And so if you're trying to do a job that requires both, it still might require you to kind of set up a jig or realign it. So if you have the space for two different machines, I'd rather be able to run both simultaneously and have a laser that does lasering very well and a CNC that does CNC very well. That's just my take on multi machines. So I've seen a few in the past done before. So I guess I would just take a look at it as why you want the dual one, and does this machine seem to work for you? like I say, I can't speak for the company. I haven't worked with them. I haven't looked at any of their machines,
Well,
but
well, you got to figure too. You're gonna have to. You're not gonna be able to if you're cutting material, especially. You're not gonna be able to do that over the top of a bunch of MDF. So you're gonna have to put down some type of protective layer, and then a honeycomb. Now you got to come up with some air assist for this machine if you really want it to cut like it's supposed to. So now you got one more thing run to the head, and the Shapeco has the capability of putting a laser module on it, but other than cutting, it's not going to move fast enough. If I put a 20 to a 40 watt module on there, the CNC is not going to move fast enough for me to run 100% power. It's going to be so much slower doing engraves than one of these task specific machines would be that it would be it just wouldn't be worth it. And then another thing is I've got my CNC tied up doing laser work when I need to be using my CNC. So like I said, I would recommend if you want a CNC, get a machine to use as a CNC, and if you want a laser, get one to use as a laser. Now, if you're not worried, like you said, if you're not worried about how long it takes, and there are options, but it's not going to be the same as having task machines.
now the interesting thing though, just looking at this, I did look it up. The Spider S1, it is a 4 foot 1 inch by 8 foot enclosed design area. So if you're
To what? 4 foot.
let me see if I can share. Let me see if I can share this really quick here.
You said it's a Tyvek.
There you go. Tyvek Spider S1, laser engraver and light burn CNC all in one. 4 foot 1 inch by 8 foot enclosed design working area. And looks like it's going to be on Kickstarter here shortly.
Good God.
Trying to see if they list any of the specs. I'm not seeing. Okay, 60 watt laser, but I'm trying to find what the spindle, because some of these tend to have like that lighter weight spindle on them. It's got an ultra lightweight integrated panel for the honeycomb.
Which one was that?
It's the S1, Tyvek Spider S1.
S1?
Yep. All right, so it's got a 200 watt
Let's see that.
spindle. So that's not overly powerful. So you're talking some lightweight material. So I would be curious options to be able to upgrade that as well. You're going to be able to do some engraving with that. Not a whole lot of cutting unless you want to go slow. But yeah, spiders1.tyvek.com is the
Yeah, I'm
page I
sitting
came
looking at it
across.
now. Powered by a 60 watt diode laser and a 4 foot 1 inch by 6 foot 7 inch enclosed work area.
I mean, if you want a really large laser,
there's a confliction in the work area size. The top says 8 foot enclosed, and then down here at this video, it says 6 foot 7 enclosed.
Yeah. Well, either way, if you want a large working area for a 60 watt laser.
Yeah, I mean that is a very large.
And Dark Forest
work
is
area.
saying it's $8.99 for a 6 foot laser. I mean, it's interesting, but I don't know where I'd put something like that. 6 foot or 8 foot. That's a lot of space.
Yeah, that's like when Adamstack wanted to send us that 800 by 800 A70 or whatever. It's like, where am I going to put it?
So it's gonna need that bigger shop.
No, Dark Forest. I haven't ever tried one of the Tyvox. They have emailed me about a couple of their machines, but I've never tried one of them out.
You had
But I
that.
think the one that they wanted me to try out was the one that was supposedly like infinite, like you just lay like railroad tracks or whatever.
The crawling. You had that Swore War one or whatever.
Yeah, that I still got it. It just I ain't using it for nothing.
Yeah.
But I've still got it. It's in storage. I thought maybe I might, one day want to like engrave some stuff on the floor or something. I could use it, but
Engraving the basketball gym. Nope.
yeah.
Here's this is not
Oh,
the same cat. This is Pip and his brother.
Perimeter alert. Driveway.
So let's see. MS been on the edge about purchasing Lightburn. What are your thoughts on using Lightburn versus XCS? I've always used Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop,
Perimeter alert. Delivery box.
and now that I have a laser, ... So as I mentioned earlier, Lightburn was developed with people moving from Illustrator in mind. So a lot of the tools are similar. I think if you had asked us a year ago our thoughts between XCS and Lightburn, it would have been a resounding definitely Lightburn. XCS Xtools continued to improve their software, so they've gotten a lot better. They've even added some things, like curve adjustments, things like that are sneaking in there as well. So it's definitely getting a lot better, and you can do a lot with it. If you're used to the design software, though, you may appreciate Lightburn better than XCS. The caveat is if you're using XCS, it means you're using an Xtool product, and depending on which product you're using, you may lose some functionality because of some proprietary stuff they're using. So there are some people who will do some design work in Lightburn but then import it in XCS to get those features back. Yeah, I mean, I've done it too. The nice thing about Lightburn, you can download the full featured program, run it for a month before paying them a penny, really find out if you like it or not. The other thing is, if you ever want to get away from Xtool, like you find you need a 6-foot long laser from Tyvek, well, if you learn Lightburn and you start using it now, you'll be able to transition to that with you basically just set up a new device and move to that. So, not everybody gets it though. Some people find Lightburn's really confusing. The thing I would say though is if you're coming from a background with Creative Suites, Adobe Illustrator and such, you're going to have probably an easier time in Lightburn. And there are still a lot of tools in Lightburn that you're not going to find quite replicated in XCS. So I hate to tell someone that they need it coming from that world and knowing that certain features might not work very well in their laser, just strictly using Lightburn. But that's the nice thing about XCS. It's free. You can use it. You can always switch back to it. And Lightburn's not terribly expensive. You spend $60, you get a year of updates. After that, it's yours to use on that version. You want to update it, $30 gets you another year of updates, but you don't have to pay another penny after that. So I don't want to tell people they have to use Lightburn, but it's worth trying out their month-long trial. See what you think of it. Yeah. Watch a few videos. And go.
It's got some cool toys and tools and stuff in there. If you're doing tumblers, especially, it really makes tumblers a little bit easier. So
well, the one thing I like too is there's a lot of optimization features in Lightburn, and in my large sign video I did a couple weeks ago, I touched on a few of them. How you can adjust the different priorities as well as the different style of engraving to, if I ran it one way, that job was going to take 3 hours versus I think an hour and 11 minutes. So those are some of the things where yes, you can do all these things in XCS, but in Lightburn it lets me tweak them and be more efficient with it. So
yeah. Burn Car Print says you have poltergeist. They've just observed that the lights behind you have been going off too.
Yeah, no, that's a motion sensing light in that part of the basement. So the cats will wander back there and they'll turn it on, and then it turns off after a couple minutes. But yeah, for that matter.
Yeah, I think
My
was
lights
it
are on in here.
Dark Force. I think was the one that bought a storage building or something like auction,
Yeah.
and it got a bunch of X Tool stuff. That's crazy. That was a good one. That's a good one. North Alabama says you look taller on the bottom of the screen. By the way. Now, Lightburn is it's not compatible with all lasers per se, but a vast majority of them will work with Lightburn. You have some. I don't think they support Glowforge. Does it? They're not
Um,
supported. They don't support Glowforge, and I guess
well,
that's the only
there are some
major
other
brand that I know of.
well, there are some other larger brands. You know, and of course now it's going to escape me, but there are some brands out there. I'm not even sure that necessarily Epilogue, because they like to use some of their
Yeah, as
different
I say, I don't
plugins.
think it work with Epilogue either, unless they have a specific Lightburn compatible one or something.
Yeah, it's compatible with, I would say, the majority of hobby lasers and low to mid grade commercial lasers. You get into some of those higher end ones, and they're going to have their specific software. So,
Yeah.
but it's one of the more popular ones across the mid range of to lower end lasers. So.
Yeah, and like Ralph says, if you've got most of the machines are going to require the GRBL license when you go to get it. So if you're, the S1, the all the atom stacks and all that, but they actually have 3 different licenses. The Galvo license is for just for fibers, but the GRBL license is going to be what you're going to need for most of the machines. Most of the machines. Ooh. Oh.
Yeah, so
It's getting late.
It's G code is the actual type of license they sell for the GRBL ones.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They call it G code.
And so yeah, that's the baseline. The nice thing about it is if you end up then rolling into the DSP/Ruida one, you can pay the difference at that time. You add that on, and then the same thing with if you get a Galvo laser and it's like the EasyCAD 2, you can add that to your license. So for most of the diode, the GRBL based ones, you just need that G code version. It's the cheapest version, and then as you grow, you can add to it, and you can install it up to 3 devices at one time and run it. So.
Yep. Yeah, V, that is rain. That is some pretty heavy downpours. I don't know if it's from that storm or what, but
Someone just let the garden hose on. A little sprinkler hitting your tin roof.
oh no. That was some of that weather that comes out of the west. Most of the rain we get comes kind of from the southwest of us. Like if it goes through Biloxi, Mississippi, or over around New Orleans, a lot of times it'll come right through here.
So we get a lot of our weather comes from the west and or Canada.
Yeah. But it is actually 2 hours and 3 minutes since we started this live. And I don't want to keep everybody. And I'm starting to get a little tired. So if you hadn't already, we do have the map that we'd like for everybody to sign up and put your pin on the map. It should be a link to it in the description, as well as the Laser Engraving Community Facebook page that we have. We try to share information and just like I don't forget who it was now that said he won the all the X tools in the storage container, but that was a pretty good thing. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, go join that, because it's a valuable resource for us. Like you can actually post pictures or videos or whatever in there if you're having trouble or if your machine's doing something weird and you just want a quick little a quick little answer. You can put that in the group, and whether it's me, Steve, Brian, or some of these other guys, there's a lot of knowledge in the group. Not just me and Steve. Like I said, we're just the two that get on here and talk to cameras. but there's a lot of knowledge and a wealth of information in that group, in the users themselves, not just the two of us. So you may have a problem that, if you have to call support, it may take you 2 or 3 days, but you can just drop a picture or a video in there and say, hey, my machine's doing this, any suggestions, and more than likely you'll get the correct answer. Or either they'll just tell you might want to call support on that one. So it's a valuable tool and resource. A lot of the guys in here, like I said, contribute to it, and me and Steve try to come through and check the comments and stuff periodically as well. So,
Yeah, Ralph, to clarify on that, it is 3 computers, 3 PCs max.
yes.
They currently have been supporting Linux, but it sounds like they're dropping that, unfortunately. So you can install the software on 3 different computers, but you can control many, many, many devices. If I was on my shop computer, I would show you the list of lasers I've got connected to that, and it's not laser machines; it's the software being installed and active on 3 different computers.
Well, currently I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different machine profiles
Oh,
on my. Oh no! I remove them. I back them up and remove them.
Yeah.
Because I only keep the ones that I use regularly on here, because I have a lot of machines. Just like you understand how that is. But these are all different machines that I can run from Lightburn, and I can even open an instance with each machine. So like I could have 8 windows open as long as I have 8 lasers and have them all running off of this one computer. So that's what's pretty cool about it as well. The most machines I think I've actually ran at one time was like 6
Yeah.
in Lightburn.
MS, the Facebook group there should be a link in each of our channels here on YouTube. It's Laser Engraver Community,
I'll try to grab it right quick too.
and that's we do ask you to answer just a few questions on there, and then we approve that. We've got a couple other people helping to approve those as well, and so you can do that. And sorry, folks, there's a few chats in my side that we'll have to look and see why it wasn't pulling those over. But Dwayne was asking, looking for a small fiber laser for shows. What do you think about the Laser Pecker 5? Both of us have videos on. I've got a couple on the Laser Pecker 5. Clack just dropped his, I believe, yesterday. We'll be doing a little bit more with those. And he's got some on the F1 as well as F1 Ultra, as well as I do. I still working with the F1 Ultra, figuring it all out, and we'll get mine out. But as far as portability, the Laser Pecker series is definitely very portable. So is the F1. But yeah, if you're wanting to get into like a 20-watt fiber laser, that one I think is probably the nice balance of portability, but also having the protection built into it. So
Yeah, they're supposed to be sending me the enclosure, the little, looks like a little miniature microwave
yeah, a
oven,
little
that goes
mini
around
fridge
it.
or something. Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be a good upgrade to have in your shop and to take to events and stuff. But the way that one operates now, yeah, you could do it without it, since they have it where the lens pops off. It's a lot better. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, you're getting hit with those tonight. But
he disappeared.
anyway, we'll try to figure out what was up with the chat things for next week. So hopefully we can make sure we get everybody pulled in. But we appreciate everybody hanging out on both channels. If you're new to either one of us, we appreciate you being here. Consider checking out. If you're coming here from me and you haven't seen Clack, go check him out. And he's got a lot of, like we said earlier, we've got a lot of similar but different ways of looking at things. So it's nice to get both viewpoints and such. So, yeah, we will be rolling into episode 90 next week, and Clack will be able to finally do the math on the countdown with only 10 to go after that.
Yeah, I can't get that comment off of the screen, so wonder if I turn that off and then back on, if that'll fix it. But
Perhaps. Nope, still there.
It blocked him on.
Yeah.
I think, my gosh, man, there's 2 or 3 of them. They
You're
are
just
hitting
getting
it.
too popular, man.
They are hitting it like
You're hitting it up.
crazy over there.
Of course, you
Oh,
don't. Now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't been watching my Facebook chat, and it hasn't been coming into the stream.
you probably got them too. Luckily mine are getting caught. Uh,
Yeah.
Lance is asking, so LP4 or F1, which is your event machine of choice? Between the LP4 and the F1, I have to give that one to the F1, and only because of that cone on the LP4. That is the only reason that those two machines aren't tied.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a little box or if you had a little enclosure, the LP4 and the F1 are neck to neck. I mean, they both do a really good job. They both have the same capabilities, basically the same work area. But that little cone on the LP4 is nowhere near as convenient as the little slide cover on the F1. So between those two machines, I would definitely have to say the F1 would be my pick. Either one of them will work, but the F1 for me, for how I do things, it would flow a lot better. Now, once you get to the LP5 compared to the F1 Ultra, I think the F1 Ultra lost a lot of the F1's portability because it's not as portable. It's big compared to the Laser Pecker 5. So there's pros and cons with the two different machines, but they're all of them are good machines. The Ultra, the LP5, the LP4, the F1, they're all good machines. It's just there's pros and cons depending on what you're going to be using it for. Are you going to be using it setting it on a desk and never moving it? And also what other accessories do you want to go with it? So, but I do plan on doing some tumblers with the LP5. I've done some with the LP4 to see how it done, and it done okay. But I'm going to try some with the LP5 also.
So have you played with the rotary yet on the LP5? The thing that every other laser, it's you set it kind of the long way down. This one you got to put you basically set the cup in so that it would be upright as you're looking at it instead of sideways. And you would think that would make it easier, but that always just messed with me because I'm so used to all the other lasers it needing to be on the side and then rotating the image. So it is
I've done tumblers with the Ultra, and the Ultra does a good job on them. So we'll see.
Yeah, but that one still, it sits in there.
Yeah, it does. It turns sideways.
So I don't know why that just it threw me off a little bit at first because it makes more sense, but
it's like driving on the wrong side of the car or something in it.
But yeah, I would agree with you that the cone on the older the 2s and the 4s, they made some good improvements on the 5, which make it better. But that F1 with that sliding shroud is really nice for events because it as long as it fits in there 100%, it really adds that protection layer. So.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about trying to like fumble around it because me, I'm just too clumsy. I can't. That cone. Everybody else told me on the LP4 you can set it to where when you hit the button it moves up 20 millimeters. When you hit it, it goes back down. But that's a whole lot of steps that I'm going to screw up somewhere when I'm out there at an event trying to do stuff in a hurry. I like it better. I like it better with the way the F1 is on that aspect of it. It's like I said, it's not a bad machine, but personal preference. Between the F1 and the LP4, the LP4 is to me is not going to be my pick on that one. But
interestingly so, the LP5 versus the F1 Ultra.
I would if I had to take it to events, I would take the LP5.
Yeah, I was going to say because portability.
It's more portable. I mean, look. Yeah. Well, can you see? Yeah, you can see it. Hang on. Echo, turn on the backlight.
Okay.
Like.
I mean, you can carry it with one hand, and you're not going to do that with the F1.
Yeah, the Ultra. This is the biggest thing. Is like with this guy. Like I said, I can carry this around. If they did this to the LP4, that would make a lot of difference. But yeah, I can literally carry this with my thumb.
Yeah.
So and it's got the same power outputs as the other one, as the Ultra. So, not a bad little design at all. So I like it.
Cool. Well, I think
I don't like the name of it.
so up here we call this the Minnesota goodbye. I think we've said goodbye about 3 or 4 times now. So we're now running at 2 hours 15 minutes. We should probably wrap this up. So
See? Woo, woo, woo.
very cool.
Yeah, this is actually with a CNC, and yes, there's a test grid underneath there, but I wanted to test it before I went to throwing material at it, and somebody misjudged how big the design was going to be, so there's a laser test file there too. So, but yeah, easy ways. All right, but yeah. Let's see. I do need to recheck some of the jigs I made from your files for the F1 if you were just a bit off. You upside down on that. Yeah, you can do that on some of them. You could go them upside down, and there's a chance that you may have a little bit of inconsistencies, but it's not going to be much, if any. What's the cost difference between the LP5 and the F1 Ultra? Which one was more expensive? The F1?
The F1 Ultra is a little more expensive.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Now, of course, if I don't know what the enclosure is going to cost, so when you add that in,
Well, yeah, because we do have to have.
it might be a lot closer. But I think either way, if you're looking at it for portability and you want that 20 watts of power on the IR, and it's a 20-watt blue diode, I think the portability is gonna have to go to the LP5.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it can still put on a pretty good bit of weight and still be easier because there's no handles on the Ultra. Like there's no handles to grab. You have to like bear hug it. So that makes it even harder. So Grady's asking what's this material? It's some type of ABS. I got it on Amazon. It's the ABS, but it's like black over white. I got it to try to use the lasers on it, but the lasers don't like it. Neither does the CO2s. Like nothing likes it. So I thought, well, this would actually be a pretty good medium to use for the CNCs. And so that's what I've been playing around with. And it turns out really nice, but you have to have a very flat work area to get it consistent. So, but anyway, who is texting me? It's my wife standing by. Oh, never mind. All right. Well, it's something about the dog and my an animal and my daughter, and I don't want to know after animals have been wreaking havoc at your house tonight. So we'll go see what that's about.
All right.
I'm pretty sure it probably got something to do with my female shepherd because her and my daughter have gotten really acquainted lately. So.
Well, again, everyone's hopefully next week we'll have the figure out what was going on with the chat messages. So I'm sorry if people were over on my channel and I didn't catch your comments. I tried to keep an eye on that, but we'll hopefully get that worked out for next week. But appreciate everyone being here and supporting us and enjoying or joining in on the chat. That's what really makes these fun, is this direct back and forth, even though it makes us stay late. So
yeah,
appreciate it. We will see you all online in the Facebook groups. Otherwise, we'll hopefully have some content coming out, and we'll be back here next Sunday, and I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, if I can keep from breaking anything else. I don't know if y'all are aware, but like last week, I slipped at the boat launch and pulled. I didn't know you could, but I pulled my upper part of my thigh, like to the point where it popped. Like I heard an audible pop from my thigh, and the whole thing's like black and blue. But it's starting to get a little better. So hopefully I can keep from hurting myself, because it's kind of hard to stay motivated to be out here working when you're hurting. And hopefully this week I'll be able to get some videos out. I am going to be working on a video with this material. So you guys that do have a CNC, and let's say you have a smaller CNC and you want to, look at something like this to make signs or whatever, to add something to, already existing jobs or whatever, I will be doing that video on that. And I'm also working on a video of this newer material and just tested it out to make sure it's going to work before we get kicked off into the Christmas season or fall, whichever you want to call it, because everybody knows that's going to be a big season. Hopefully, it could be not as big as past, or it could be really huge, but you need to be ready for it regardless. So, but that's it for tonight, guys. We're gonna let you guys go to bed, and until next time, y'all be safe and have a good day.